Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Monday night Talking Town Extra Time show. Apologies for running late. Obviously, if for those that perhaps watched me, for those that didn't watch me, I was live on another show for half an hour this evening, the SAL Weekly Roundup. You can find that on the Trimley Red Devils YouTube page. That was half an hour of looking at the local football scene, the results, and all the action from the SIL. So, of course, I paused the press conference and I've just had it on 2x speed and I've caught up and I'm now live with you, my friends, and I'm looking forward to the next 40 to 60 minutes where we have got an absolute jam-packed show for you. The chat is already so busy that I can't even get to the top of the page to welcome people in. So welcome Matt, welcome Lloyd, welcome Jeremy, Jason. Loads of you. Get active in the chat. Get your thoughts known. We've got the fan forum. What did you hear tonight that really got you excited for the future of the football club? I just put my phone on mute. How unprofessional. You wouldn't get that on. So maybe just put that on mute. Thank you very much. Done so. Back in the room. Here we go. Let me know what you heard at the fan forum that really got you excited. Perhaps what you didn't see or hear. Were there any bottle top questions this year? I didn't hear one. Perhaps doesn't mean that wasn't, slipped in there when it was 2x speed. So let me know the best questions and the best answers and all of that. Richard Channel, is this like one of them rest watches when they can't work out how much time has been wasted? No, it wasn't. I just completely lost track of it while I was watching. Louis, Budgie in the room, welcome. So tonight's plan is, as I say, the press conference reaction. We, of course, will look at Accrington and Stanley. Stephen will be joining us, Maverick, hopefully, and various others. Blaze Dog, great fans forum. Town in safe hands and great times ahead on and off the pitch. Absolutely. What was the answer to the second big screen question, by the way? I heard the question, then I got a message on my phone, and you know when you're watching a film with your other half and she goes, "You're not really watching this," and you go, yeah, I am. I kind of had that moment where I thought I was watching it, but I really wasn't. And so if you could let me know what was said, that would be absolutely epic. Don't forget, we can't do shows like this Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Any show that you have on the platform, from Away Day Guides, the Talking Town Time Machine to whatever, without you wonderful people, our fifth standers, those that support us through Ko-Fi or through YouTube. And of course, for supporting the platform, not only do you get the warm, fuzzy feeling of supporting the number one ITFC fan podcast for fans by fans, but you also get the perk of Discord. And the question on today's Discord, my friends, this is the type of thing you get on our Discord. Who was the better manager, Paul Cook or King Lambert? That was the conversation this afternoon. I don't have to tell you, my friends, which side of the divide I was on, but I'd love to know your thoughts, your feelings. And I'm going to start that question with our first contributor. Who was the better manager? Let's see what he says. Designer, George Nunn.
I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Well, I'm not going to be surprised either way if you say pass. But that is the question on the lips of everyone in the Discord this afternoon. Who was the better manager, Paul Cook or Paul Lambert?
God.
I mean, as I did qualify in the Discord, it is a little bit of a race to the bottom. It's not like you're talking, who was the better, who's the better manager. Maybe in 5 years' time, you're going, is it John Lyle, George Burley, or McKenna? It's very much is a in the bottom order up. Which way round do you put the two?
I feel like the positivity around them arguably lasted longer, but that was because he was just full of shit. I think at least Cook was a little bit more upfront with how he was feeling, but that meant that his relationship with some of us dissipated slightly. I don't know. They were both awful, weren't they?
They were. But that's the sort of conversations you get in the Discord. Nice little things like that. You see, it's not always heavy. It's not always tactical central. It's just, you can always have a conversation about it. It's but I do firmly believe, George, in 5 years' time, the conversation will be who is the better manager, Lyle, Burley, or McKenna? Because McKenna is slowly crafting himself out. Just a lovely start of a managerial career here.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting to a point now where it's hard to argue that he is probably pretty good at what he does. Right? That kit, I think you can, with most managers, just say they're having a little purple patch at the beginning, or whatever it might be, riding the crest of the wave. But he's done it across 2 seasons now, and consistency is king, isn't it? Where we just look on it, and increasingly so.
Well, we are looking, and I have got one of the points written down tonight when we come to the Accrington Stanley bit is professionalism. The last 10, how we saw that out. I want to get that to you. I've just sent you the link, Brandon. Apologies. Richard Chandler. Cook came and saw me before the Wickham away game and celebrated to the room. That was, oh yes, that video where he's celebrating. That was you, Richard. Oh my God. Lambert loves Lambert. Look, listen, us Lamberts, if we were made of chocolate, we'd lick ourselves to death. Let's be brutally honest. Do you not like chocolate?
No, it's the thought of you licking yourself.
Where do we go from there? Oh, look, Jacob Farrow. He's heard enough to become a YouTube member. Jacob, welcome.
Yes, that's the quickly you get retracted.
Welcome to, he's quickly, he's on the phone now to his bake. It's fraudulent activity. I didn't mean to press it. Rob Smith made a fantastic point earlier, part of the conversation. Sure, it wasn't about in the KOA. The 17 wins under Kieran McKenna have produced 40 goals and only 2 conceded. An amazing statistic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's literally no arguing with the start that McKenna's had. I think, and that's why today's question was bound to come up about. Please stick around. I think there's no disputing how good he seems to be as a coach, young coach, which is great. So, the thing that we're gonna come cropper of at the moment is it's not just referees, is it? It's the playing style of other teams, and
53% win rate.
Yeah,
it's not too bad. The thing is, everyone goes, "Oh, Town are winning; they're doing really well, top of the table. You must be struggling." And I'm like, "Well, no. The platform did just under 60,000 views last month, George. Like, negativity is one thing, but equally positivity, like we're having now, that also brings people to platforms, to podcasts, to newspapers, to whatever, because you're engaged, you're buzzing, you want to be a part of it. It's like honey and bees and pollen. It's just everyone wants to get a bit of it.
Yeah, I think it's only good for everything related to the club. Officially or otherwise, it's going to be good for the town. It'll be good for us as fans. It's good for these platforms. All of them, and it's only going to hopefully pull us all together, but certainly pulling us all in the right direction, and the positivity is catching at the moment, isn't it? And that's great.
It is absolutely one of the things you do definitely want to catch. Jacob Farrow, it definitely isn't fraudulent activity. You'll very rarely see my name pop up. I'm always in the shadows, but the content is worth the fee. It's just a little something back. We thank you ever so much, Jacob Farrow. We've got to get an emoji for Gov's curse. That's got to be sort of player of the year worthy level of emoji. We've already got the ITK one in the bank, but we need a couple others. We're thinking like in the bin. I thought of one in the Discord earlier. I'm not going to say it out loud, but I did think of it earlier. We'll put that on our to-do list. Jacob, welcome into the party. Ashley, that comes from Arsenal Fan TV, who historically did massive views of the club, was a laughing stock. Once they started doing well, plummeted. You say plummeted. I watched a show on Saturday morning, George, with Don Robbie on Sky. I mean, if that's plummeting, I want to plummet.
I love getting the podcasters on, don't they, from the big clubs? So they kept dragging them out during the transfer window deadline. It's pretty painful content, though.
Last year in the SGA's table away from Troops, Don Robbie, and I'm a big fan of Don Robbie. If you can't tell, the platform. I'm a big fan of Don Robbie, Arsenal Fan TV. I'll let you guys and girls at home assign our contributors, match them up to their contributors. If you feel we've got similar type of characters, I'll let you guys and girls at home come up to that one. Right, we've got a third member of the team this evening. He hasn't got an intro yet. It's his second appearance, so instead, we're going to play the advert. Ipswich Buses, your local bus company. Don't get stuck in traffic. Ditch the car. Go green. Go contactless. Go Ipswich Buses. Fares available from £2.20 return, a fantastic price and a fantastic service. Ipswich Buses, proud to partner with Talking Town. is, of course, Brandon. Brandon, there he is. How you doing?
Hello.
All right?
Not bad. To be fair, that advert would actually be my my walkout song if I was boxing, so it's perfect.
Absolutely, yeah. Go contactless with Brandon to the ring from £2.20. There you go,
Yeah.
Brandon. How you feeling? Loving the shirt, man.
Yeah, not bad. This is a birthday present for my brother. I'm 23 on Friday, and he just threw it at me when I was at my mum's yesterday. So
23, George. I mean,
No.
I mean that was last century for me, I think, but long time ago, right?
Me?
For both of us, but certainly for yourself. Yeah, you're the oldest one here, George.
Thanks, buddy. I don't know how you want me to respond to that.
I could say
3 weeks or 4
we
weeks.
grandfathered you in. But there is a slight echo though, George. So while you sort that out, I'll talk to Brandon. Wave to me when you think you've figured that out, my man. Brandon, the shirt was mentioned quite a bit tonight on the fan forum.
Yeah, I was surprised that I thought someone was going to ask the question, which was, what was the need maybe for the third team shirt? But I suppose when he mentioned the sales, I suppose that sort of answered the question for it. And he did say that Ed Sheeran sort of approached him rather than vice versa. That's how I sort of took what he said. Yeah.
It is nice,
but they could have held it back for next year's away kit. I thought that would have been a good idea.
Or extended it, said this is the third strip for a couple of seasons potentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was mentioned quite a bit. Obviously, the first time I've seen the new chap. Is that the first time you've seen him as well in a public speaking forward-facing role?
Was he one of the ones that used to work over at Norwich?
I think he might have been.
Is that what they were sort of trying to allude to as well, in sort of a jokey manner as well? But sounds like he's worked at lots of sort of big sporting clubs across England. It was quite interesting that he had a little something to say about each of his last 5 jobs, which was quite interesting, other than Norwich. But
I like the old Rico Arena with the 2 big clubs. That was a nice little name drop, wasn't it? Where he's talking about the sort of things they've done at the arenas, etc. But I think I said to somebody earlier, this is probably the easiest fan forum they're probably ever gonna have.
Yeah, when you're looking at the performances we've had this year, and the way that I've looked at our performances is that we should have or deserved to have won every game, other than maybe Burton away. I thought that, given the context of the whole game, a draw probably would have been quite fair with the chances Burton had. But outside of that, we should be sat on maybe 8 wins or 9 wins instead of 7. So yeah, it was always going to be easy, and it's chalk and cheese from where they've taken over. You can see the real difference. So there's nothing really that you can argue with, and the things that you can argue with, it's all about they're saying they're actively trying to fix those as well, the things that they haven't got round to yet. So it's what you want to hear, isn't it, as a fan?
It is what you want to hear as a fan, absolutely. And we've done him a disservice, George. He never worked at Norwich. He worked at Villa, Leicester, and Nottingham Forest.
Oh, that's right. I don't know if I fixed this, by the way. You have to tell me if I.
I think you might have done.
Ironically, I turned echo cancellation off.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So, Richard Chandler, the fans from an April when already promoted might be easier. I do think, unless that is the case, what Richard says there, George, this is the easiest one. It was all full of absolute gushing thank yous.
Yeah, but that's
love letters almost.
But that's what you're going to get, right? You can't manufacture constructive feedback or flat out criticism. Like, it's either there to be said or it isn't. And I think there were some valid points. The Wi-Fi in the stadium's a valid point. It's a real pain in the arse. The answer was also relatively valid. So, if having not being able to see the big screen is your biggest problem, then I think we're doing all right at the moment.
Yeah. I mean,
it'll be interesting, and let's hope it's not for a long time yet, but it'll be interesting to see how they turn if, as and when the tide turns. But let's hope that we don't have to worry about that.
Well, this is it. Absolutely, it won't be this year. That's for absolute certain, Brandon, because this football club is going in one direction. But it was a couple of hours long. What sort of stood out to you? Listening at home, I want to know from the live chat what stood out to you. What did you really like enjoying? What did you want to hear more of? or not? What didn't you hear that you wanted to hear? Brando, how about you? What did you think of the the fan forum this evening?
Well, although one of the questions was about sort of improving the youth to Cat 1, things like that, I think the thing that I took away from it is when they mentioned the youngster that had a chance to go on to a top 6 side and wanted to stay, because obviously this time last year we had a youngster come out and sort of say about how mishandled and mistreated he felt in our youth setup. So to know now that a year on, the same youth setup, we're still the same club, there's now a player who thinks that their development is better off at Ipswich in League One than it is a top 6 Premier League team. I think that speaks volumes on what they're doing on that side, which has sort of taken a back seat. I think everyone would agree that we've put a lot of money in terms of people who can help the first team now, get us out the division. But it still shows that what's not maybe making the news for us as fans is still going on. They're still developing youngsters, and they're really improving the sort of lives that they're having on the pitch for Ipswich youth team. So that's what I took away from it. I thought that was a good point.
That was a very heartwarming story, wasn't it? I was a bit surprised, I'm going to be honest. I've always maintained if you've got that Premier League team on your CV, but clearly things are changing, and McKenna is a big part of those changes, George.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, you can easily go to these big clubs and get lost in the sea of just the number of players that they sign is terrifying. And then they have much bigger facilities than we have, obviously, and more coaches and all the rest of it. So that's not, it's not criticism necessarily. It's just, you see how many players get released, particularly at the moment, every summer, or how many just keep getting given new contracts and then sent out on loan for a season over and over again until they're early to mid sort of 20s, it feels like, some of them, when they need to be out and playing football. And why not stick around at Ipswich and see where this wave that we're riding at the moment takes us? Because in 12 months' time, this kid might be in the academy of a championship team, and beyond that, who knows? And in 2 years' time, if you're a 15, 16-year-old going to a top 6 club, are you any more or less likely to be playing in the Premier League if you go to them this summer?
I think if you're looking at it, if the team that they were sort of referencing was Chelsea are known for having about 80 players, I think, just loaned out everywhere. I think every Football League team probably has 1 or 2 Chelsea youngsters on loan, not including ourselves, obviously, this year. But we've had Trevor Chalobah in the past. And I think teams like that are ruining it for teams like Ipswich as well, because they're going and taking teams like, ourselves and maybe some of the bigger clubs which are in the Football League. They're taking their youngsters, and if you're 1 in 80 players of that age group sort of at the club, you're not going to have that same one-to-one sort of development as maybe if you're 1 of 30 players, or if you're sort of in a smaller group in terms of, playing for the under-18s every week. There's a squad there of about 20. It's much better than, as said, 80 players of the same age group, which I imagine some of the top 6 sides probably have.
Yeah, obviously Chelsea's got an army of...
Sorry, Mike, go on.
No, go on.
I think you're not going to get the same contact, even just in passing, that you get with someone like Kieran McKenna in Playford Road or at Portman Road. And the point is a slightly tangential point, but the point about McKenna sitting down at the women's football, and sitting on the bench and talking Joe through. And I'm sure he wasn't talking him through it. I think that was the phrase that Fuzzy mentioned. But I'm sure he was sat and talking to him about tactics and just getting in his head and helping out. And as a player and as a coach, you're not going to get that at Man City or at your Manchester United or at your Chelsea. So that's just not going to happen. If there's 80 kids playing in their academy, they probably never see Tuchel. Maybe
it's just another name in the book, isn't it?
Exactly. Maybe once a month they might have a thing where they all get together in a big room and he sits in front of them and talks tactics to them. But they're very unlikely to have, unless they're a prodigy, they're very unlikely to have first, real one-to-one experience with these coaches, the first team coaches, like you could do by staying at somewhere like Ipswich. I think, the category system, and Ashton made the point, the category system is just a complete farce, isn't it, really? didn't say that, make that point. But if you're not aspiring to be a Category 1 academy, what's the point in having the categories? But the answer should always be, of course it should be, yes, we want a Category 1 academy, but that's not the answer. And that's for a reason. It's because it's a complete farce.
Yeah, not at the moment was the reply.
He said, until the Premier League tell us what their plan is. Well, this our fucking academy? Like, why should the Premier League be telling us what their plan?
So, would you have liked to have seen him say there and then, we are striving towards that Category 1?
No, my point is that if there is a category system, if there is a tiered system of categories, you should be aspiring. You should want to be aspiring to be in the top 1. But if there's a reason why somebody like Mark Ashton, who's clearly a very competent CEO of a football club, with lots of experience, is saying there's no point, then there's something fundamentally wrong with the tiered system. Right?
What he knows about running a football club, I'm sure all three of us would never learn it.
Exactly. But if there's any reason why you wouldn't want to be in the top level, then the top level there's something wrong with it. And I think that's, one way or another, that's all going to come to a head. Probably not very soon, but the Premier League has been distancing itself from even the top 6 in the Premier League. Have been distancing themselves from the rest of the 92 for decades. Yeah, it's not getting any better. So I wasn't disappointed with that answer. I think it was quite a good answer, because I think there's still lots of people that will throw in the Category 1 point as a little jibe or whatever else. We were 0.1% away from achieving it 10 years ago.
We were once, yeah.
And why we were that close and now we're miles away. But we don't know that we're miles away. So we don't even know why we want it. So if Mark Ashton doesn't, then we certainly don't.
No, you're absolutely right. You don't know how far away you are. I mean, for those keeping track at home on their forum bingo card, who had NASA being mentioned? That was one thing I don't think anybody would have walked into tonight expecting to hear Brandon. But another thing we definitely heard and certainly heard was the call for emails. They almost want emails. It's like they were very short of handing out T-shirts. Just had email addresses on saying email us, because that was a good thing, wasn't it? Email us.
Yeah, and I've in my limited time on this God's green earth, I've also heard the saying that no feedback's bad feedback, because at least you learn things that you can improve on, or you'll learn things that you're doing well that you can maybe expand on. So it's good to hear that he will reply to you no matter how stupid your email may be. So that's good to hear. But I think that there are some questions obviously that maybe I watched yesterday's show that you guys sort of brought up, and there are questions that maybe would have been a bit more difficult to answer that maybe didn't get across to them.
You're going to get those, though, are you? It was very much going to be
it's very feel good
stories.
It's a very feel good thing. But as you said, maybe in the next forum, if they have it towards sort of like the crunch end of the season, they might have more difficult questions to answer. I think some of the questions which maybe you did sort of sit up in your seat thinking, how are they going to answer this? They gave the answer, the very corporate sort of answer, in terms of, we're going to sort of answer your question, but thank you for your question, but we're not going to fully answer your question, sort of thing. Like with McKenna, are you going to do everything to keep him here? McKenna sort of said that he wants to be here for the journey, for the project. And then Mark Ashton didn't say, we will do anything to keep him here, blah, 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 blah. And so there are questions that we would want answered maybe differently. But as you said, it's very much a feel-good factor at Ipswich at the moment. And long may it continue.
Gosh, yeah. I wrote down here, lots of thank yous, which was... this isn't always going to be the case. These fan forums, we know that from past experiences. Before we go over to you guys and girls at home, the fans of Ipswich Town Football Club, the viewers of Talking Town, to have your say. I can see you all lined up, ready and waiting. We'll get as many of you as we possibly can on. Scouting was brought up, that famous thing you do to find players, and I think the term sheepskin coat was used? If I remember, my memory serves me correctly, is it all men sat in stands watching on freezing cold Tuesday nights, or is it a bit of both? And that's what it is actually, George. It's a bit of both. It's the scouting still plays a part, we heard, but you've got so much video content, and I seem to remember we signed Jonas Knudsen, I think, from video content. And I loved Jonas Knudsen, but it was so much video out there with every league in the world now, now videoed. It just makes sense, doesn't it, to sit and go over video and by the reel.
Yeah, I'd love to see some stats on how many players are signed these days purely from video, because I imagine you'd probably be surprised by the answer. But yeah, I don't think McKenna's response to that was particularly controversial. I think we knew the fabled dashboard and all of that. All of the video gets fed into it, and there will be reams very shortly, if they're not already in place. There will be reams of people that are sat watching video most of their days, and
it's a nice job.
Some of it will be word of mouth, and some of it will just be passing interest or people that will find whilst watching video of other people, I suspect. All of these things, and the supercomputer will be doing its thing. But the scouts are out there. We know they're out there.
Yeah.
I think one of the key things for us as a local club is getting scouts to junior games. I know that Norwich send scouts to kids games right across the counties. And we should be doing more of that. We should be doing more of getting out there if we're not already, and getting these kids early and making sure that they're not picked off by the likes of Norwich and wherever else.
Boo. Actually, Bell, reminded me of the Mike Bassett TV series when he watched a player banging in a goal after goal in a video. He signed him and ended up being the goalkeeper. Anything Ricky Thomas is in, I just have to watch. I absolutely love him as an actor. I think he's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I agree. That stat on how many players signed by video would be interesting. I just love that as an idea, as a job though. What are you doing today? Oh well, I've got the Ecuadorian second league to watch between the hours of 9 and 5. Like what job? Literally just watching football, make assessments and reports. Oh no, imagine it. If there's a gig going, Mr. Ashton, Mark, sir, please let me. I'll have it. Oh, Hoffenheim versus Borussia Dortmund. I mean, over your cornflakes. There's harder ways to live, isn't there? I mean, imagine it. Darren Salter, best money maker of Ipswich Town is if we have claim promotion with games in hand. Put Ed Sheeran on for the last 5 as just the number 17. It'd be the biggest viral screening ever. There was a game on Saturday. Ipswich Town did beat Accrington Stanley. They did put old ghosts to bed. I'll start with you, George. Your man, as you're on, I thought I'd start with him, as we have done for the last couple of weeks, to be fair, because he's doing that well. But George Evans? No, Lee Evans. 90 minutes, 1 assist, 81% accurate passes, 5 chances created, 1 big chance. He's having a fantastic campaign.
Revelatory, isn't it? I think, he's I'm all for it. I think it's great. Fair play to the guy. He's just seems to be immense at the moment, and there's no denying it. I've said before, I don't have any personal issue against Lee Evans. I just think he's, I think again, it's the McKenna factor, isn't it? He didn't play an awful lot under McKenna last year. He was injured for a big part of the first dozen or so of McKenna's games, I think it was, by memory. And he's come back and is just he's doing exactly what we wanted a Lee Evans type to do, which is phenomenal. So fair play to him.
Competition for places, though, Brandon, must be playing a big factor because a couple of bad games. You've got Disco Dom who can step in. You've got Kamara when he's fully fit who could step in now. You've got quality players, of which have cost a little bit of money, that are really waiting for that opportunity.
Yeah, I think there is a place for him in the team. With even take form completely out of it. I think the traits that he has, maybe compared to a Dominic Ball, I think there is a place for him in the team at the moment. There'll be a time when we do need a Don Ball, a bit of a stronger, more aggressive defensive midfielder next to Morsey, maybe to break up play more. But at the moment, Lee Evans is our quarterback, isn't he? Effectively, he picks up the ball from the centre backs. He'll maybe stride forward 5 yards and then ping it over to whichever wing back's in space. But I saw earlier that I can't remember which site it was, but he's currently rated the most informed player in League One in terms of average rating. I think they've given him average rating per game of 7.96 or something like that, and Chapman's
quite
fourth
high.
or fifth. But yeah, he's been brilliant. I would have started him from the outset. He's had a full pre-season after the knock he had last year, and he's played with Morsey plenty of times. And you can just see when they play with each other, they know each other inside and out. We've played against a couple of teams this year that have played in midfield free. Yeah. And I can't remember a game that Lee Evans and Morsey haven't controlled the game in the middle of the park, even against a free, like Bolton. Bolton play a free, and quite a decent free, but Lee Evans and Morsey run the game. So I think if something's not broke, don't fix it.
Very true. Very true.
His corners as well on Saturday, because I know I thought that he put in. There was one that just he didn't get it, and it hit the first defender. But I thought all of the others, there was 4 or 5.
A couple of headers. Did have a couple of headers
that he put in dangerous, but spots. I thought, and that's a massive improvement, because a few weeks ago we had the same conversation, and I was giving him the praise he deserved, but his dead balls were bloody awful. But this week, I thought, I watched the game back, I thought he was exceptional. Sadly, I
can see yourself sort of, you've sort of gritting teeth, doing really well. He's doing great. No, I'm joking. I'm absolutely joking. Before I bring Colin in, who was there at Stanley in the driving rain, or some type of rain, I think it was. Last 10 minutes. I want to talk about that, Brandon, because we've often spoken about us not being streetwise, not having the master of the dark arts, not having whatever it is that other teams have when they come down here and, for a better word, shithouse their way to a victory. But Saturday, we had that in that last 10. We strangled that game and then got the second on the 87th minute. But for those 7 minutes, strangled the life out of what was left of the football game.
Yeah, I think the main part of that was that we still had that goal threat and the ambition to go forward. I think a lot of the times when under, Paul Lambert, for example, if we're 1-0 up, we'll be 10 men behind the ball. If we get it, hoof it into the corner and let them come back at us again. And with the way that the Dapo played, even Ahadmi when he came on the last couple minutes, they were always looking to come to feet, offer, but they still wanted players to go past them. So I think that's massive, but that's the mentality that McKenna's drilling into these players, isn't it? It's you're good enough to play for 90 minutes and beat Accrington every minute of that game. So regardless of what the score is, go and do it, and that's what they've done.
Absolutely, Colin, you were there. How did you see it from your stood-up position?
Yeah, it was all right. It was all right, Gav. Yeah, and just to answer your question about the weather, actually, it was it was very mild. It was 21 degrees. Just had the odd little shower. I took my jacket off and I was hanging over one of the crash barriers. It was that warm. I even just kept my shirt on when there was a little drop of rain. It was really nothing, absolutely nothing. It was. It surprised me. It was really, really mild. It was good. It was good conditions, really good conditions, considering the northwest. So that was fine. How did I see the game? Look, we won the battle, didn't we, in the first half? A bit like it was a very mirror image, really, of the Burton game. We grew into the game in the second half. Went in 0-0, grew into the game second half, and it was always a question of, when we scored. Really, I thought I'm not saying we dominated the second half, but we was by far the better side, and what Coleman said about they kind of deserved to win. That was absolute garbage, really. They've done all right. They kept in the game and they've done all right.
It must be really hard though, Colin, for any opposing manager. You're 1-0 down, and then you're 0-0. You're in the game, and Kieran McKenna's not bringing on. I don't want to disrespect anybody's.
I know what you're going to say,
name,
yeah.
But he's not bringing on a 34-year-old, or he's not bringing on a 17-year-old, journeyman, young player, whatever. He's bringing on Freddie bloody Ladapo, who scored a lot of goals at this level, and Connor Chaplin, who should be playing at the league above. That's going to grate on you eventually, isn't it, as an opposing manager, Colin? That's going to really take your goat.
I couldn't agree more, Gavin. I'm a great believer that our home form will definitely turn before long. I mean, not that it's overly bad. It's far from that. But the draws will turn into wins. The next two games, one is what I class as kind of half difficult, but not difficult. Cambridge, I'm talking about. I foresee another win on Saturday. I foresee another win on Tuesday night. I think Joey Barton's lot. Look, if we get a good result on Saturday, which I think we will, I'm going 2-0, 3-0 again. On Saturday, I've got no problems about playing Cambridge United whatsoever, especially at home in front of a bouncing Portman Road. I'll stick my neck on the line like I do. Look, hindsight's a lovely thing to have. I prefer to say things before they happen. I'll be very, very surprised if there ain't 26,500, 27,000 in that ground on Saturday. They'll sell their allocation, which is nearly 2,000.
So they should. It's half out the bloody road for them.
Well, exactly. But what I'm saying is, Gov, it'll be a bounce and fantastic atmosphere there on Saturday.
And we'll get big 1-0.
We're playing well in front of the big crowds as opposed to yesteryear, where we tend to buckle down, and don't play quite so well under those circumstances. But I think these group of lads have now grown into this now, especially the ones who've been there a while. And like I say, I'll go 2-0. I'll go 2-0 Saturday. And I think if Joey Barton is not very careful and we don't get many injuries on Saturday, we could see a very, very good performance on Tuesday night. I think that could be a show. I think that could be 3-4-0.
Two things before. Go on. Sorry,
Gov. And then obviously, sorry, mate. I know rattle on. But then we obviously go up to Hillsborough, which unfortunately I've got a ticket for. And we go up to Hillsborough in what is going to be. I'm not going to call it a massive game because it's not a massive game. It's
a huge game instead.
It's a very important game. That's what I'd put it as, Gov. And if we go there with 6 more points in the bank, Sheffield Wednesday Ipswich go into that game probably as much. Even if it's Hillsborough, I think we go into that game as slight favourites.
Now, before I let you go, Colin, and you've made some fantastic points, I don't know. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I have.
You're a cult hero, Colin. You're reaching the status that only Cruncher can dream about.
I will answer that, though, Gov. I've never, ever been a dreamer about my football club. What I say, I actually believe. And I said, and I hate to repeat myself, I said after 2 games that we got one of the best young coaches in this country in the EFL. I also said before 1 game that we'd win this league. And it's not going too bad. Everybody will go, it's early days, and I'll accept that. But we're doing all right.
But do you know how that song goes? Can you sing it?
I can't actually read it, Gav.
Don't worry. It's the We Cheer the Boys in Blue. Colin, I love you.
We cheer the boys in blue. Win the league in 22 or whatever it was, yeah. But
hey, we'll win it in 23. Don't worry.
But the thing, yes, right, yeah, it's absolutely true, Gav. But like I said last week, Gov. Like I said last week, push them trophies just a little bit to the side, because there's one incoming.
Love
Trust
it.
me.
Colin, we
Trust
love
me.
you. We look after yourself, my man. All
Love
the
you, mate.
best. He is a tonic. He really is.
I
Champion.
never
And you
thought
both-
never thought he was going to quote Smash Mouth in his little talk there, though, saying I'm a believer. What a guy.
He is. He is. Had you seen that, George, on social media? The picture.
I
of
did
Pogba?
see it earlier. Yeah.
He's reaching that cult hero status. You know, where people that can be on a T-shirt, George. You know, I just think it would be a great little side hustle
Feel
for,
free to
for,
make that t-shirt go.
for Colin.
It's just that you can imagine his head going like this as he's doing it.
Yes, absolutely. We get a bobblehead. You know, one of those
Colin
bobbleheads that
bobblehead.
just the Colin. Oh, there you go, Ashley.
With
Bell.
optional accessories of dressing gown or no dressing gown.
Yeah. See,
Absolutely.
this is a businessman among us, ladies and gentlemen. This is a man that knows how to make his coin. Ashley Bell, got to give Sheffield Wednesday a good hiding. Hey, Gov, absolutely. Absolutely. I've had that circled in on my calendar for months. Mark down in, take our chances against Cambridge early on, and we could hammer them 6-0. Going to bring in Maverick. I'm going to ask Maverick the first. Good Lord, look at this. We've got the Top Gun with us. Hello, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Look at this. Oh, Maverick, you've outdone yourself here with this nice little costume. Although, where's the overalls to complete the look?
I was figuring out where I'll put my helmet.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, I didn't know I was going to go there. So Simon Harris asks, or says actually, should I say rather instead, even in all, I still think we are in second gear. We can go through the gears over the next 2 months in front of Pack Out Road. Do you agree with that, Maverick? Are we still very much in second gear?
I'm not sure. I think looking at the highlights from the Accrington game on Saturday, I think for me, I'm saying Harness has obviously shown his confidence with the goal tally he's got already, but you know, Chappers, he's coming along. I mean, it's the free kick against Barnsley and the performance when he came on off the bench on Saturday. I think that, you know, the confidence is really starting to kick in with Chappers at the moment. Possibly
he's
second gear. I'm saying second, third gear. You know, whatever. I think we'll still improve. Definitely. I'd like to see Ahad and Kamara play their first game and Ball getting game time in the league. But yeah, he's definitely got a point there. Yeah, definitely got on with that.
Absolutely. Stephen Parry says Tom Cruise has changed.
20 years younger, mate. 20 years younger. Let's say.
20 years younger. I'm actually going to challenge Simon's point, George, and bring it to yourself here. The gear situation. I actually think we can go up and down the gears as we please. I think we coast in second potentially, but in 90 minutes we go from first to fifth, back to third, without even breaking a sweat. We're so smooth as a football team.
Yeah, I think that's the point. I'm not sure that McKenna would want you to use the word coast, but I think we adapt to the opposition that we're playing against, whether it's tactically or pace or whatever it is. I think we did a good job of we didn't look too threatening in the first 25 minutes, 35 minutes on Saturday, but what we did do was absolutely knackered them out because they were playing us man for man, and we were dragging them all over the place. And after 35 minutes, a few of them looked like they were done to me. And they didn't really recover. And after that, I didn't think they looked much of a threat. There was a few times in those first sort of 35 minutes where they got through, and then only a couple in the remaining sort of 55, 60 minutes really. And I think that was down to our game management. We managed them, you know, apart from the fact that they were, you know, kicking us to bits at points, and we weren't allowed to do the same back to them. You know, I think, yeah, we just managed that game really well and wore them out. So we didn't need to get into fifth gear particularly. No. And we probably didn't really step out of third too much.
I don't have any stats available to me, Brandon, but this is where the 5 sub rule comes in and the depth of the quality we've got, doesn't it? Because George says by half hour, 40 minutes, they're looking tired. Now that's George. Obviously, he's often quoted by saying, "I'm not a football coach. I don't know." But when you've got that 5 subs and you can provide the quality of depth to make changes, like this week, for example, with Burgess versus Edmondson, one was worth £1 million only 12 months ago. It's not like you're comparing as we were 2 years ago. Are we going to play James Wilson or Toto Enciano? No disrespect to either player. The 5 sub rule is really helping with the strength of depth.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to think about when it comes to which gear we're in as well is teams aren't meant to hit sort of like their best form until around November, December, when they've actually properly bedded in. Like I know that the core of this team, and other than maybe Leif Davis and a couple of the front players, most of them were here last year. So that helps as well, not having 19 faces coming in and having to know each other on and off the field before that we start getting results. So that's helped as well. But yeah, the subs is massive. The squad we've got, and the fact that still players like Kyle Edwards, who off the bench with 10 minutes to go against a tyrant fullback in this league would be absolutely disgraceful. He doesn't make the squad. It speaks volumes on the recruiting that the club have done, and it's the quality of play. Everyone who we've brought in could easily start matches for us. I think that's the main thing to take away from it. There's not a player that's come in like a Louis Barry last year where you think, why are they here? Everyone has their job. And even Richard Keogh, we saw him on the bench, and I think it was more so the sort of style of centre-back, which is why he was on the bench instead of Edmondson. He's a aerial threat in the air, isn't he? So.
He might win the Lou Barry Award. Because just Richard Keogh, just by the sheer fact that he can't get a game to make an impact, which is not a slight on him, but because TJJ's already done a lot more than Louis Barry ever did, and that was an early candidate for could he win the Louis Barry Award for not giving much to the team. But God, I mean, we joke, of course, Maverick, Mr. Top Gun over there, but Brandon's point about the players and how they've been here a while. Would that be key, do you think, in how we see Kamara and co, or when we see them, rather? Because it is a tactical system, and it is a system that requires knowledge and discipline in when to press, when not to press, when to go. Could that play into when we see these new, baby tees like Kamara?
Well, firstly, McKenna's brought in 2 League One players that already know the division. So, he's already brought in an attribute from those players that know the opposition in this league, and with the players that we have now, have really, I think, brought into McKenna's way of thinking. And at the moment, with the football that we're playing, it's just absolutely fabulous to see. Because on Saturday, listening to the game on the radio, I thought, the last 15, 20 minutes approach, I thought, oh, God, here we go. It could be 0-0. And then when the guys came off the bench with the 5 sub rule, it made all the difference. And just briefly touching on the 5 sub rule for this season. It's this season, isn't it? The 5 sub rule that they've gone with. It could be reversed for next season. It could go back. I don't think it could be.
I think this is a rule now. I think if this is a rule change, George will know a little bit more because he's got 2 fruit. No, he's looking at me like.
I think it's about maintaining quality, isn't it? It's maintaining quality on the pitch for 90 minutes. So I think that's also a reason why they brought it in. And you see some of the depths of these Premier League clubs. It's there because there's so many stars in squads now. They want, if there's tiring legs, they want more flair. They want more people sitting down and watching players. So I think that was one of the main contributors and why it's coming as well, not just the sort of fitness levels and COVID and what's come after that. I think it is about the quality on the pitch as well that they want there.
I think the point that Brandon made earlier about Evans being our quarterback is a good analogy, because and part of the reason why it will be a few weeks, I would imagine, before we see someone like Kamara come into the centre of midfield, because there's a playbook to learn. It's not just a formation to learn. You have to learn a playbook, because McKenna can change it from team to team, from moment to moment, from half to half. And if you're coming in, particularly in the engine room in there, you need to know what the little movements mean and what the signals mean and all of the rest of it. It's not just about which hand you put up at a corner anymore. It's, there's so much to learn that I think there's a genuine playbook for these guys to learn, and so you can't just chuck them in if they're fit enough. That's another thing that he'll need to get up to speed with, but he'll need to learn all of these things before McKenna trusts him enough to slot in.
Do you think we'll see
Are we
Kamara?
agreed from Saturday that Chappers claimed that second goal?
Absolute rubbish. His shot was going wide, and it's had 2 deflections on the way in.
One of those came off the Accrington defender, didn't it?
Yeah, it's come off the Accrington defender, and then people are saying that it's then come off Burns as well. So, you know, make your
I
mind
thought
up.
I'd score, to be honest with you. I thought
I thought the Dapo's on the other end of the pitch, but he's trying to claim it.
Hey, the first goal, I
If
think, comes.
he can claim it, then
Yeah, I think the first goal is Ladapo's. I think it comes off his backside on the way past. Oh no, honestly, I think it does.
I don't spend much time looking at the Dapo's backside, Gav. I'll leave that to you.
It was the angle that the camera was positioned
Right.
on the video I saw. Brandon, you may never be asked back ever again. I don't know.
Sorry.
I'm yet to decide.
So sorry.
I'm yet to decide what to say in response to that. I'm absolutely shocked. Maverick.
Yellow card to Brandon.
Yellow card. Launch him next week. No, I'm
Wow.
not joking. I'm only joking. I'm big Freddie. Big fan of Big Freddie. Player of the year. I've told you people already. Do not misquote me. Freddie Ladapo's going to be player of the year. Believe it. You heard it here first. Maverick, is that going to come true?
No.
Cheers, mate. Cheers. Not only did you not put meat on that bone, you just left me there. No.
I think for me at the moment it's probably going to be between Harness and Chappers at the moment, but we'll see how Morsey gets on with his goal tally. He's on 2 at the moment after 7 games, so we'll see how he goes. I've still got a bet on him getting double figures this season, by the way.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Fair enough. Before I let you go, you've had time to reflect. I know I asked you on Saturday's show, but have you had time to reflect? Is your man of the match still the same, or has somebody else just sort of over the last couple of days?
I didn't watch the game. I said Chappers, didn't I? I think
You did.
when he came off the bench, because he did make the difference. But having heard what you said about Evans a few moments ago, with his stats currently at the moment, he stands top of the pile. So I don't know, Evans or Chappers, take your pick. I don't know.
There you go. Maverick, as always, it's an honor. It's a privilege. Look after yourself. And there you go. Love it. Absolutely. Anytime anyone goes that committed to a gimmick, I absolutely love. That's what Talking Town is all about. Stephen Parry will join us very shortly, and we'll hope to get Mr. Chandler on. One question I didn't think I'd be sat here asking you at any point between now and December was the very next point. Lee Evans, could he go to a World Cup is what I'm seeing in the chat. George Nunn equally, or probably never thought he'd hear me say those words. He's just nearly fallen off his chair, or it's broke. I'm not. Well, you're right over there, George. World Cup for Mr. Evans?
I don't know enough about Wales' squad to comment on that, I'm afraid.
Oh, me neither. Brandon, do you want to go there?
Who's his competition?
I think in terms of centre midfielders, Wales, I think, have a very old bunch that they play in there, if I remember rightly. And there's quite a few Welsh centre midfielders knocking about in the Championship and above. You have the likes of Joe Allen, Aaron Ramsey, people like that. If he does make it, then he'll have to play very well up until that point. But at the moment, I don't know how much plaudits outside of Ipswich fans, how many people are aware of how well he's playing. Would be the only thing I say. Obviously, I expect Wales scouts to be watching Wes Burns, so it might be something they'll double check. Oh, is that lad in centre midfield Welsh? Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see what happens.
I'm trying to find their squad now. I'm going to be honest, not something I've ever thought I'd be looking is the Welsh nationals team. But you never know, Mr. Parry. If they play well enough, we could be losing 2 players.
Well, as far as I can see, there's the likes of Joe Morel who plays central midfield from Portsmouth. He's not really playing a lot at the moment. So, the space is there that he could take, especially maybe some players who are a bit higher up the pyramid who are not playing at all. That's where Wales comes from. If you've got a player even in League One who's playing well, playing often, and doing a lot of good stuff that you like, the option's open. The only thing that's against him is probably experience, especially big tournament experience.
So, sorry.
If it was friendlies coming up, I'd probably say yes, but it's a World Cup, so I'd probably say no.
Okay, so if it was a couple of friendlies, you might have.
If it was friendlies coming up in December, I'd say he's in with a shout. Yeah, but because it's a World Cup and it's a tournament, and he's had very little international experience, I'd say they'd probably get that out of the way, what they've got, what got them there, and then they'll look at it next year.
Do you think the 25-man squad, George, may come into it? Because there could well be within that Wales squad one, possibly two places which are the tail enders. Traditionally, where Ericsson has sent someone like Theo Walcott to a World Cup in just to give him the experience, they may go and not play all month. But there could be one or two places there where one or both of their names are currently penciled in.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I'd be looking at, given that it's going to be best part of 40 degrees over there, is fitness. And there's not too much arguing against how fit our squad is this year. So, it probably comes in not as much as form, but it would be important to me given the climate and all of the rest of it. It'd be interesting to know if anyone at our level is going to lose enough players to postpone their matches, and whether we would postpone our matches if we were in that situation.
You need 3, don't you?
We would. I think it used to be 3, didn't it? I don't know if it still is, but
yeah.
Christian Walton should be on the plane for England anyway, shouldn't he? So.
He should.
We can always say that cameras with Guinea-Bissau.
Are they in the World Cup though?
They're not in the World Cup though, are they, Steve?
You just say he's playing from somewhere. They're playing a friendly against Burkina Faso or something.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but yeah, I think you've got to be in the World Cup to go to a World Cup. But I get your point, Stephen. Stanley.
Just one point. I do think, Robert Page is an experienced manager. He knows his stuff, and I think he's a bit like Gareth Southgate. He'll probably mainly trust the players who got him there more than anything.
Yeah, there is that huge comfort factor, as any manager has, which, in turn, who's... Okay, that's a great question I'll ask you, Stephen. Who's McKenna's comfort blankets at Pullman Road? Every manager's got them. Who do you think his comforts are when selecting a team?
Difficult one, because you'd need to know the influence of the players. There's players that he's known from outside the game, like Don Ball. There's players
hasn't played yet, so it can't be him. I'm talking players that McCarthy would call them steady eddies. Players I know what they're going to give me. Your J Tabs. He won't be high, he won't be low. He'll be J Tab with 6 out of 10.
But he's only been here 8 months, hasn't he? He's known Don Ball for years. He knows what Don Ball can do. He's known him since his Tottenham days, so he knows what he can do. Obviously, at the club, there'll be people like Walton and people like Morsey, but he's only just met those. There will be people at the club he's known longer, like I said, like Don Ball, who he knows exactly what he's got, exactly what he'll do, and he'll do exactly what he asks him to do, who are probably a comfort blanket for him as well. I know he's not played a lot, but that's because of an injury. And Evans is playing well. But I think a lot of it's to do with, I don't think he has any real favourites. I think he has like Morsey, who's like, this is what I want. I want these standards. And that's what happens. But like I said, everyone's bought into the project. Like Edmondson was out at weekend, somebody else came in, but it's explained to them. There's a reason why this is happening. When Evans comes out, and he will come out, he might be playing well, but there may be an occasion, like say a Chef Wednesday, where Barry Bannon has to keep control, on, which probably Ball would do a better job than Evans would, because he's a different sort of player. He's a more enforcer than what Evans is. Or he might play all 3. I don't know. Then everybody gets that we're going to have to dip out for a particular game. And that's why I think picking a McKenna side is damn near impossible, because you've got to be in McKenna's head to realise what it is he wants for that game. That's what caught everybody out surprised when Caden Jackson was playing. But after the game, he explained why he played Caden Jackson. It's just they didn't play the way he thought they would do.
Yeah. And that's great on their part, George. Accrington Stanley's bringing that surprise. But I'll ask you sort of the same question, because we're getting some great things from the chat. We've got Ashley Bell, Walton, Morsey, Wolf. Craig's gone for Morsey, Wolf, and Walton, the same 3. Mike's gone for Walton, JD, and Morsey. So JD sort of finding himself in there. Who would your sort of the players be for that?
Well, I think Walton and Morsey for sure, based on their form and the fact that they play week in, week out regardless. Stephen's absolutely right, and we've alluded to as much when we've been trying to do 11s over the last couple of months, which is that it's impossible. And you're right that fair play to Accrington, but teams, I think it's a sign. It's a good sign, really, that teams feel like they need to change their
philosophy, their
style,
approach.
and that can be to their detriment as much as anything else, because they're trying to figure out how to play us, and they're not playing something that they're used to. So I think, it's all really positive from our point of view in terms of the comfort blanket. I think Bolton and Morsey would be a more than likely first on the list every week.
Do you agree with that, Brandon? You're nodding your head there.
Yep. I reckon Walton
Like
tucks
Churchill.
McKenna in at night, every night. McKenna. Walton's there. Walton walked him through all the crowd at Accrington. It's all right. It's all right, Gaff.
You wouldn't need a security alarm with Walton, would you? He's so
Absolutely
safe.
not.
Safe as ours is Christian Walton.
What a guy.
I'm fast falling in love with him.
Yeah.
And Bart is fast becoming a distant, sweet memory. Exactly.
What are you talking about Simpsons for? No, I would say, just going back to Accrington and the way that we set up, I think a lot is said when we look at the teams we're playing against, and a lot of the time we say, oh, they're going to be doing this, so maybe we should try and play these players to sort of match what they're going to do. I think what McKenna done, maybe it was a little bit cute and it didn't work the way he wanted it to. He tried to go against a very physical team with a very quick one. All of arguably our quickest players were on the pitch.
True.
Tyrese John Jules, Harness, Jackson, Burns, Leif Davis. All of them have pace about them, which is nice, because I remember when Paul Anderson and Jay Tab used to be our wingers. And we thought, let's play balls in behind. Let's get in, let's do this, let's do that. But Accrington held quite a sort of low line, if you will. They didn't really leave much space over the top. Very similar to what Colchester done to counteract Jackson when we played them on the Tuesday night. If our line is on the edge of our box, what space have you got to go?
Oh, he's frozen. I thought he finished the point. We'll come back to you, Frank.
I agree with that point, but the other thing that I was thinking of with the changes is, the pace started off like that, and they ran them ragged, and they were chasing round after these fast players like bulldogs chasing greyhounds. It just wasn't. They were going to get knackered, and then we switched all those fast players, put on the more powerful, skillful players, and they didn't have any puff left to cope. And I think in the end, his tactic did work, because he had them chasing all round after Jackson. By the time Chaplin and Ladapo came on, there was just too much space because they were buggered.
Absolutely. Stephen, I love you coming on the platform. You talk a lot of sense. A lot of people love you coming on as well. Who was man of the match for Saturday before I let you go?
Me, I did say originally probably Burgess, but that doesn't mean he stays every game.
Love it. Love it. We'll speak soon, Stephen. Look after yourself. Doesn't stay every game. Paul P, how good is Davis? 1 million well spent, Richard Chandler.
Yeah, I think Davis is just looking better and better. We've got a player that can actually deliver a decent ball into the box from the left-hand side. Much as I still think Lee looks like a decent player as well, I just don't. I would have Davis starting every game. I just think he gives so much going forward, and we now look like we can hurt teams both sides.
Do you think? And I completely agree with you. Leif Davis is a great player. Greg Lee looking like a shrewd signing. But do you think it is quite clear to see that Leif Davis's ceiling is a little bit higher than Greg Lee's? That once Leif, he's very much, I think, a championship player having a 12-month sabbatical in League One.
I think we've got several players that are having what they thought were going to be 12-month sabbaticals that are now 24-month sabbaticals.
True.
Because we wouldn't have Morsey, Evans, Burns, Chaplin, and Walton are all championship level and above. Walton, I think Morsey's probably walks into most championship midfields.
As what role, though? The enforcer or the attacking midfielder?
I think he's showing himself to be an attacking midfielder, which I would never have said last season. He was the enforcer, wasn't he? But yeah. I think how well Evans is playing is just changing his game. And whether that's McKenna or whether that's Evans, I don't know.
Do you agree with that, George, despite missing a sitter on Saturday?
Let's go back to that.
For those that don't know, I messaged George early part of the game Saturday afternoon. He wasn't watching it. I said he's missed a sitter, George, because we've got this little bet between how many
8
goals.
yards out.
And he said, he asked me how far out was he? I said 8 yards. He's watched it back today.
The volley
He's
on the edge of the box.
Yeah,
17-yard out stretching volley with his wrong foot.
Yeah, at waist height. Yeah,
it's
nice.
a sitter.
Sitter.
That the keeper didn't even hold either.
Exactly, he didn't. He didn't hit the target. So
But
yeah,
I do agree with it, and I think Morsley's, he's certainly playing his best football for us at the moment, and so why would you put him anywhere else? And as is Evans, so let's not disrupt it too much.
Any concerns about the World Cup, Richard?
I'm concerned. I'm more concerned now. I genuinely think that we could well see Evans and Burns make their squad, because Brandon was right in that you look at the Wales squad and they've got historically quite an old midfield. Probably only takes an injury or two for them to be short. And I think at the moment, do I think we'd miss them? Probably. But equally, do I think by the time we get to that point of the season, like I said in the chat earlier, our squad and our strength in depth is going to mean we're still walking over teams when they're struggling because of injuries and suspensions. So the odd player missing for the World Cup can't be a bad thing, because that experience is going to mean they come back even better. But
it could be our detriment, Brandon. If we're still playing games, which we expect to be.
We didn't have Wes Burns away at Shrewsbury, did we? And we won 3-0, and arguably it should have been more. So I think, and when we have seen these other players play, I know we haven't really seen many other players play any sort of minutes in centre midfield at the moment this year. So I can't really talk about how we'll play without Lee Evans. As I've sort of touched on earlier, I think the centre midfield will be ran maybe slightly different if Ball comes in, because he's a different player. But without Burns, we have plenty of people who can do the job on the right-hand side. Not as good as Burns, but, in League One, who is? I think Vincent Young's been very good this year from what I've seen. And we've all said that Don Ball was really liked by QPR fans and they didn't want him to leave, and he played in the Championship for God knows how long. So we've got the depth to play, and not just that, we've then got the depth to fill in for if they are away and then there's another injury. We're bringing in players like Kamara. We're having people, as I said, about Edwards. You've got Vincent Young who can play on the right. And we can... I've said on here before that I don't see Burns playing as a right wing back or a right back. I think he plays more as a right winger than he does anything defensively. I think the most we saw him defend was probably against Accrington in the dire minutes. But a lot of the time it's more of a right winger sort of role. And that's why we've sometimes seen players like Carl Edwards come in and play that in cup games. I don't see it as a problem. I think we'll beat the large amount of these teams with our B team. I think the team we put out against Colchester, if you now add the likes of Don Ball into that, or the team we put out against Northampton more recently, if that team was just a team at another League One club, that would easily be a mid-table or above team.
Yeah, and you got a comment in the chat here from apologies, I've just lost it. It was Lewis O'Connor. Our squad depth is unbelievable. Really feels like a promotion-winning team. And last year, Richard, we heard a lot of standards and culture from Mark Ashton, and then you hear a lot of stuff from Roy Keane about how the standard and culture at Man United from the senior players was what dripped throughout the whole club. This is the standard. We don't fall below it. This is how you train. This is how you play. You eat. You sleep. Whatever it might be. And just looking at Don Ball, Sam Morsey, Christian Warren, just to pick out three. Connor Chaplin. You could name 4, 5, 6, 7. There's that standard now of senior players, which this club didn't have in a long time, that are setting that very high bar, that high level, that you eat, you sleep, you train, you play at this level. This is how we do things.
And then that's coming from McKenna, and McKenna's learnt under Mourinho and under various managers at Man United. And I know some of those managers weren't successful, but they've got Premier League standards, they've got World Cup standards, and he's learnt that from the moment he stopped playing all the way through his coaching career. He's gone off and learned, and we're reaping the rewards, and we've just got to keep hold of him.
2.5 years left on the deal. I jokingly asked you on yesterday's show, but I'll ask you, Richard, before I let you go. If Lambert got 5 years in Christmas time when we were, wherever we were, how long would you be giving McKenna on the contract?
I'd probably keep him on the 2.5 years, given that Lambert shouldn't have ever got the 5 years. So I don't know what. I genuinely don't know, because contracts mean nothing in football anyway. So I genuinely don't know, but they did do quite a lengthy contract for Burley, I seem to remember, back in the day. And I know he eventually got sacked, but I think he was only halfway through a quite long contract back then. So that's what I would be doing. I'd be making sure you secure that. And there was a lot of chat in the forum about Ashton said, 59 contracts were sorted in the summer for peers going in and coming out and all of that. He's the one they've got to sort now.
Mm. But maybe you tie that in with a promotional
and
tour.
It might be there already. It might be there already. That it might be that part of his contract is that if he gets them promoted this season, that he gets something extra and it's an extension of contract or whatever it is.
Potentially so. Yeah, great points. Richard, thank you for hanging on there, my friend. Hope to speak to you again very soon. Look after yourself.
Yep. See you later.
All the best. George, I've got a little something for you here as we close today's show, which, does, because a Pompey fan said on Radio 5 Live Saturday night that Town were throwing a lot of cash at it.
No, they didn't.
Well, he did, yeah.
They didn't.
What are your first thoughts when you hear that, George?
That we're throwing a load of cash at it. Well, I mean, we've spent some money, haven't we? That's no denying that. I'm not sure that we're throwing cash anywhere. I think we're spending money where money needs to be spent. I think you look at our, over the last, we talked about in the summer, how long have we been saying that our left side has looked just bad, or just for whatever reason we've looked lopsided towards the right. We've struggled to fill that position for ages. And when we were talking earlier, I was thinking to myself, we're spoilt for choice down the left. You watch Accrington on Saturday, and I would say a majority of our wide play went down the left-hand side, and that's and the fact that we can bring Leon and he just doesn't really miss a beat. Like we've spent money where we needed to spend money. We've bought in quality where we needed to bring in quality, and you have to spend money to do that at any level. It's just how football works now, and I'm pretty sure that Portsmouth have thrown some money around this summer. To be perfectly fair, it's just that they throw it all up front.
Well, that's
hope for the best, and that's fine. If it, they're going to score a lot of goals this season, and they're going to be up there or thereabouts. But let's not get too salty about it. Like we've both spent some money, we've both got some money to spend, and we've both spent it. There's no point sitting on it.
No, I think the net spend argument can be made, but there's a great article by Philip Buckingham in The Athletic. About transfer being money and how much was spent in the window in the EFL, and this is from the article. The picture below the championship is even more stark. Less than 2 million was spent by all League One clubs combined, and most came from Ipswich, showing signs of ambition under American ownership. When I read that last night, I nearly sort of shot up in bed, George, because 2 million combined, and we know Leif Davis was at least half of that transaction. It's not often you've had Town in that conversation, but that does show the clear level of investment and ambition being put into the League One football club, that you have basically had the market and owned it.
Yeah, look, I mean, the only thing I'd say, here's my question back about the Pompey fan. What does he want us to do? Not spend our money that's there to be ambitious with the money that we've got to spend. It's just a ridiculous thing to say. Like,
he's a fan. He's talking from the heart, isn't he? That's what we do on here.
He's not talking about his football team. I think is the point, isn't it?
Sit and think about it. Think about does he just want us to not spend money because that feels a little bit unfair because no one else has got the money? Like that's.
No, but I'll counter that.
I don't get the argument, and I don't get the.
I get the argument.
I get being envious of the money because we've been there. We've been that club. Envious. We've been the club that was taken over by a pretty damn wealthy.
Don't spend money, you get relegated.
And he didn't spend money.
That's what we've had.
Yeah, we know what happens when you're owned by somebody who can afford to spend money but doesn't spend money. But what's the point in owning a football club if you're not going to be ambitious and try and improve that football club?
Amen. I agree. But
I'm not going to apologise for our ambition. That's crazy.
God, no. And neither should we feel ashamed, guilty, whatever it might be, Brandon, because we've been the fan. But I can fully see where he's coming from in the sense of anytime a club will sit above Ipswich Town Football Club in the league, they will feel a little bit smugger because we've been there ourselves, looking up at Derby for all those years, going, "Oh, it's just they're spending money. That we haven't got that money. We spent 5,000 on."
They didn't have that money.
Well, no, at the time you didn't. I wasn't aware, but we've been there when you've turned up at places and won 2-1, and they bought a bloke the week before for £8 million or whatever. I can see where it's coming from, but equally, it's been a long time since this club had any ambition, let alone the most in a division, arguably.
Yeah, and I think all you have to do is maybe look across the pond at our lovely neighbours and see that they're a club that have zero ambition, really. You look at whenever they go up, they're happy to go straight back down. I remember at the start of last season, I remember watching ITV News Anglia, and they were interviewing Delia Smith, and they asked her, are you hoping you can stay in the Premier League this year? The way that she answered the question was, we're just happy to have fans back in the stadium. They're a club that are happy to go up and down, except that they're running it as a business rather than a club of any ambition to stake a name for themselves. And they're happy to keep taking those payments and keep going up and down. We're a club now that when we got, bought out and we got new owners in, they didn't come in and they didn't say, we're a club that should be high. We really hope we get the club back to the Championship. They came in and they said, we want Ipswich to be in the Premier League.
Yeah.
It shows ambition. And as Crunch has alluded to many times, if we do get promoted, which we all feel like it's going to be this year, and hopefully it is, we're going to see us probably spend more than, 60% of the Championship. So
we're going to have to, because I think the overall spend in the league above was like 90 million, I think, without going back to the article to read it. Great article, by the way, by Philip Buckingham on The Athletic. Go and check it out. I do love The Athletic. There are some great little bits and pieces on there. Kieran McKenna was on there, an actual story dedicated to him and how he plays. The secret is out. I read it through sort of my fingers, thinking, oh no, the world's going to read this and they're going to know what's at town. Stephen says we need the CS, and when we need the CS, and when there will it's getting late. I can't read that. Right, we are done for this evening. We are back on Wednesday at 8:30. Apologies, Stephen. Mark Downing, need to spend to progress. Spend zero money, you get relegated to League One, like we found out. Well, there we go. Right now, the ambition is being rewarded. We sit top of the tree, first position. Cambridge on the horizon. We are back Wednesday at 8:30, and joining me Wednesday is another new contributor, getting his feet wet in the Talking Town pool. It is Owen, and he's joined by Amy Downs and myself to discuss Cambridge. Jacob Ferry, is the Discord link invalid or take time to register? Jacob, it shouldn't be invalid, but I will post a new link on the community tab in a second, so keep your eyes peeled. I will do that after this show. But for now, he is Brandon. I don't know his second name. Look, is that news to the channel?
Carter.
Oh, we can call you Dan. Dan Carr. The Diamond. The New Zealand Diamond.
I'd rather
Dan Carter. He's a great rugby player, to be fair.
That's brilliant.
I sense that you love rugby as much as I love cricket. Is that fair?
No, I have nothing against rugby.
I have nothing against cricket. I'll do a show on it.
There you go. There you go. I agree with you.
He is Brandon Carter, Dan, and he is Mr. George Nunn. George, you're off on holiday soon. Enjoy. I don't know if this is the last time we will sit together, but if it is, I do like a bit of duty free.
We've got about 3 or 4 weeks. I'm probably on again, aren't I?
Have we?
It's a travesty.
Where's it going for you to be saying goodbye to him? I'm worried now.
He's on the NASA mission.
I'll be pretty close. They'll have gone by then.
There you go. Anyway, see you Wednesday, 8:30. Enjoy the rest of your week.
You make me smile when I think of you. If I get down low and I get blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. I woke up all soaked in sweat, with chills running down my neck. I'm going crazy from just the thought of you.